green screen right now, as you can see, and I'm gonna use this footage of you talking and this, and I put them together, and so I can like green screen us into like some cool, like we might be in like an old gas station or like out in the desert or whatever, and you'll be in like a TV or something crazy like that. So I like to do. But what do you like to be called? Do you?
Michael.
Michael? Okay, Michael.
Yes.
And I go by MC Popsicle. My real name is Josh, but that's my handle or whatever because I'm an MC on Bourbon Street. So that's just the
cool.
name I'm going.
You're out of New Orleans?
Yeah, I'm on Bourbon at this club called Razoo, and I'm the host of that club right now.
Good, man. What kind of club is it?
It's just like a dance club. Most of the stuff on Bourbon is all like tourism, so it's just basically top 40 or whatever, just stuff that any general people would like. It's fun. I like it a lot. I've been doing that for years, but okay, so we're just gonna start like you haven't come on yet, because I like to say hey and everything, like hey, how you doing, and stuff like that, and then just go on from there. If you're good to go.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Mr. Michael, how you doing?
Good, sir. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I love those shades, man. Those are sweet.
Oh, thank you. This is actually from our sponsor, Filthy Shades. I like to sell out if I get the opportunity.
There you go.
But so normally when we start, we talk about what is your favorite movie or one of your favorite movies.
That I've done, or just the movies that I like?
Before that you haven't done, we're gonna get into all the super cool stuff that you have done. But what is something that just something.
Some favorite movies. Oh wow.
Yeah.
My favorite. I'm a big Tom Cruise fan. I know it's popcorny and it's, whatever. I like Top Gun. I like Aliens. I like those types of movies. I like Alien, but I like Aliens better. I just did. I also like Shawshank Redemption, which is like a 180 from those types of movies. But I like that. There is a movie called The Last Starfighter. Have you seen that before?
I haven't. I believe I've heard of it though.
Yeah, so that is from what I understand, it's one of the first movies that used like CGI when it came to the space crafts and things like CGI is not very good, but the story's great. It's about a kid who plays a video game. Next thing you know, he scores a high score. Unbeknownst to him, he's basically trying out to be a fighter pilot for some not futuristic, but the Space Force, and so he does, and it's kind of cool. I love the movie. It's something like that. I love those. I love soundtracks too, of those types of movies. So yeah, so it draws me to them.
Me too. I listen to those.
Latest stuff. What's it?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I just saw the latest Top Gun, and it's great as well. So it made me feel pretty good after that.
Oh, good. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but everybody's been going absolutely crazy about it, and I want to see it. I've got to watch the first one. I still haven't seen the first one.
Yeah, the first one's good. Yeah, I like it. I just like Tom Cruise, in general. I think I just finished one of my screenplays. I put a reference to homage to Tom Cruise in it, so that's pretty cool.
I love him.
Writing besides the acting. Yeah.
He's a very, very good actor. I like, and he's really good at picking parts, also. Yeah. And he's insane as far as doing the stuff he does.
Yeah.
Like jumping off.
Tropic Thunder, when he showed up as the agent, that high-powered agent, was crazy. I mean, or what's the other one? The one where the rock and roll one.
Rock of Ages.
That was great, and he's just good.
He's funny.
People give him enough credit for things like that, so he can definitely stretch the envelope a bit, which I like. So
yeah,
cool.
I wish he would do a couple of just straight up comedies. I think that would be hilarious.
Yeah, I agree.
So out of your so out of horror movies, you seem to do a lot of stuff like that. So Aliens, is that your favorite like franchise or horror movies?
Yeah, I wouldn't really call that as horror to a certain extent, yes, but there's also, definitely a sci-fi element to that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a great story behind it too. I'm into story and that and the narrative behind that, and I just love all. I love the characters. So it's I think that's what I like. And me fortunately, for me, I've done a few horror films and as far as an actor, and been pretty successful at them, and so I like to do. To tell you the truth, I'm not a big fan of horror films. Watching them like in a room by myself, I get scared pretty easily. It's funny when I did went to the premiere of The Hills Have Eyes. I sat in the audience and I jumped. When some guy next to me goes, "Why did you jump? You're in the movie." I wasn't in that part.
That's funny. That is a very good movie. See, with some horror movies, they put like the story and like the characters like kind of second, and it suffers a lot. And I feel like they don't think about stories sometimes with horror movies. But I watched The Hills Have Eyes when I was like maybe 15, something like that, and I really liked it. I thought that it was very, there may or may not, most likely not a group of mutants that like that kill people, but it was very real. Like the situations could actually happen.
Well, some of that, from what I understand, is based on some factual things. Maybe not people living in the hills, but definitely deformed, babies and things like that being exposed to radiation and stuff like that. So doing nuclear tests and stuff. So
yeah, I read that a lot of the pictures that they used at the beginning of the movie were actually from Agent Orange. Like they were all from like birth defects from Agent Orange. And I also read that there was a guy named Sonny Bean in the Dark Ages that they based the original Hills Have Eyes on. There was a forest that everybody said was haunted in England, or it might have been Scotland, but either way. So people would go through there on their way between two cities, and a lot of them would never come back, and no one knew why. And it ended up that there had been a severely, like, inbred family that lived out in these caves, and they would abduct all these people for years. There were generations, and that was like that what they would do. And I thought that was really interesting.
I read somewhere that it was Scotland. I think I remember correctly. Someone else has mentioned that just recently too, on Facebook or Instagram or something like that regarding that. So quite interesting.
I actually did a whole video on The Hills Have Eyes about 3 years ago, because like that's how much I like that movie. Because I like horror movies, and there are some that really stand out to me, and that one always has stood out to me a lot because you're like, like it really stresses me out when I watch it.
That trailer scene is pretty vicious. I remember when it first came out, I went to the premiere and things like that, of course, but I went like a couple weeks later, I went to just the regular theater and sat in the back, just watched people's reactions, people didn't know who I was, of course, and so, and some people got up and walked out in the trailer scene. It's pretty intense, when you shoot the mother, and all that stuff, steal the baby, and it's funny that baby, during the filming, the baby really liked me. It was Pluto. Because the baby doesn't know what scary is, right? They don't know what scary is. They just know like loud noises, whatever. But I was really gentle with them. I goo-gooed and gaga with the baby, and it was pretty cool. So there's a whole scene that's cut out of me when we take the baby. We hand me and Lizard, we hand the baby over to I forgot the gentleman's name. He's passed away since then. But the character, the leader of the mutants, we hand the baby over to him. But so that was cut out.
brother's like,
It
oh,
was pretty cool.
look at this funny guy.
Oh, definitely for sure. Definitely for sure. So,
Like,
yeah.
I liked Pluto. Like, that was definitely the standout character of the mutants. Like, he wasn't the leader, but it was like they focused on him the most. Like, he was the coolest looking and he was the strongest, and I think he had more scenes than any other of the mutants that I can remember.
Yeah, well, I think Lizard did too. Lizard did quite a bit. You know, it's funny, when I auditioned for that, I actually auditioned for Lizard. There wasn't a lot of dialogue for Pluto, and so I had to audition for Lizard just to show my acting ability and, you know, and all those things like that, but it was for the Pluto character. But yeah, I'm, you know, very blessed. And of course, you know, the original one, that was played by Michael Berryman, so I had some shoes to fill, you know. And the thing is the director told us not to watch. If you haven't watched the first one, don't watch it. I don't want you to be influenced, your performance influenced by anything the first one, because this is going to be a different film. Still a quote a remake, but a different type of film. And I'm glad I did. I watched the first one, you know, after, of course. And it has a different feel than, of course, ours is in your face, gritty, and yeah, there's not a lot of comic relief with that at all. And so when we play these characters very viciously, so which is very cool. But also too, if you think about Pluto, if he would have grown up, you know, in your neighborhood with a nice family, yeah, maybe he looks a little messed up, but he might have been a nice guy. You know, you just don't know. I think he's a product of his environment sometimes, you know. When you grow up with a bunch of people that are cannibals, you know, that eat people and kill people, you know, it's like anything, right? So
I got a similar vibe to Leatherface. I interviewed one of the guys that played Leatherface on the show.
Oh, which one?
It was he was in the second one, the Bill Johnson.
Okay.
And he was he played him kind of similar.
Yeah.
He played him in a similar way to where you're like, he's not really a bad guy, I don't think. Like, he's just in a bad situation and doesn't know any better.
Yeah.
You know, that's...
Yeah.
How did you get into character to play Pluto?
Yeah.
What were you, who were you basing it on, or what were you thinking about when you made him?
Well, you know, I played a lot of football, you know, college football I played. You know, I ended up in camp with the Dallas Cowboys a long time ago, before you were born, most likely, 1985. But then I was in the military before that. You know, I've done a lot of physical things, a lot of tough things, and so, you know, when it comes to physicality, when it comes to aggression and things like that, football, you kind of learn how to turn it on, turn it off when you're doing something like that. And I think you know, that's kind of how Pluto is. You can turn that on and turn it off, and when you turn it on, you watch out. You're like a bull in a china shop. You know, you're like a freight train. And like when you come through the door and whatever, you know, he's pretty singularly missioned. You know, he's you know, he's there to protect the family. He's there to survive, and you know, and they are there to eat. And when someone's like laying a trap, right? Hey, you know, if I'm a hunter and I've captured a rabbit or a deer or shot a deer or whatever it is, and that's the only food I'm having, guess what? I'm eating it, no matter what. And these people live out in the desert. It's not like they have a garden, you know, or they have a pen full of pigs or cows. I guess they're eating up humans, and so that's what they do. And that's the kind of, you have to have every bad guy that play, like, at least for me it is, every bad guy that I play, and I played tons of them. I played monsters, I played hitmen, I played neo-Nazis, I played prison guys, everything. Every bad guy, to make them come off real, is you have to believe that what you're doing is right.
Right.
You're doing the right thing for whatever your environment is. You have to. And I bet there's a lot of people, bad guys that are in history itself, I don't think they're doing evil. They're just on a mission. That's what they do now. They're twisted, right? Their minds are twisted, which they don't conform with society, and they're doing, sick and disgusting things and things like that. But in their crazy minds, they think that they're doing the right thing. And for me as an actor, I got to think the same way. I got to think that what I'm doing is the right thing to do. I have to. It's for my family. I'm here to survive, and I need to eat. And these people come into my territory. Guess what? Now you're lunch.
Right.
And that's how we played it. And nothing. And my getting ready was like nothing's gonna stop me. And I kept it under control, of course. But that's what it was. Like seeing the house scene when I went through the door. That's a real door. That's a real glass. Painting door. It wasn't fake.
Wow.
There was no breakaway glass. That's just me with an axe, big axe, cutting that thing diagonally across the door and busting through that. And all through there was all real stuff.
Wow.
Going through that wall is real. That was not fake. That's going through that wall. All that stuff. The only thing that we set up was me grabbing my one leg and throwing Doug through the window. He was on a ratchet or a cable to pull him through. Other than that, everything was straight up hardcore. That was it. So.
Wow.
Him trying to go up the stairs, me grabbing him, pulling down the stairs, that dog attacking me. That's all real.
Oh my gosh.
We trained with the dog. I mean, I had a pad underneath my arm, because those dogs are pretty vicious and they're trained, like that. But yeah, there was no joke.
That is crazy. It came through. It really came through. Like I watched it with my girlfriend again a couple nights ago, and I was talking to her how visceral and intense that movie is. Because, like, the whole time, I can watch a lot of stuff, like horror and stuff, and I'm kind of like, like, that, it doesn't scare me or anything. But when I watched that movie, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I guess because you really were throwing people through walls and stuff. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, all that's good. I mean, and the character, the actor who played Doug, he did most of it. They had to get a stunt guy when I drove through the wall and things like that, of course. But for me, I did everything. So there was no stunt guy for me. So, yeah, hardly ever is. I do have a stunt guy that I use. His name's Tim Sitar. They call him Bubba. He's my when I do something crazy, like I have to get ratcheted out of a window or a high fall or something like that. He'll come in and do that for me. But everything else, I'm a pretty good fighter and I can move pretty good. So like I fought Jean-Claude Van Damme in Bulgaria in a movie called In Hell.
What?
So yeah. So that was all me. That's all I trained in MMA and jiu-jitsu and ground fighting and kickboxing, all those things like that. So to make it look good, at least try to.
You do a lot of stuff. Like, I was reading about you, and, like, the more I read, I was like, wow, this guy has done everything. Like, all the characters you played, and now hearing all that. That's impressive. That's really cool.
Yeah, so, like, on Charmed, right? So I was on Charmed for 2 years, and I played 4 different characters, and people say, well, how did you do that? Well, like, the characters have everyone has their own mannerisms. I like to ground things in a physicality point of view. I did a movie called Monster Man. Have you ever seen that movie?
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't seen it yet, so it's Monster Man. So that one I played character Fuckface, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in that character, he has a jacked up walk, the way he talks, the way all those things like that. It's very fits in with the character of him being in a monster truck and getting thrown to the windshield, and his face is all messed up, and they wire it together.
Mm-hmm.
And he can't breathe very well. His hips jacked up, so he walks with a jacked up walk. So a lot of the physicality really informs the character that I play. And same thing with Charm. There's Beltazor. He's like this demon, but he's almost like a Terminator, right?
Right.
Very few words, and the words he says, they're pretty powerful. Then you got someone like Shax, who killed Shannon Doherty off the show. He is a demon of wind and tornadoes. So I had to make him more flowing, and I thought of like Tai Chi and all the movements of that. And all that stuff. And then there was another one I played, Janor, which is a Grimlock, very stoic, his movements are very minimal. And so, yeah, you just kind of, all the different characters, and it could be something that's not in prosthetics or not in makeup. I'm just playing a projects that are either comedic or things like that. So I've been very blessed. It's been a fun ride for sure.
That's very cool. I played a monster in a movie that's not out yet, but it's supposed to be coming out on Netflix soon, and I worried about. I didn't know whether to go too high and too intense, or like start out low and work up into the character. How do you do that? Do you start out as like crazy as possible and then work your way down, or do you just kind of slowly build it until you start from the bottom of the top?
Yeah, so as an actor, and most actors can attest to this, a script is never shot from page 1 to page 120 or 90 or whatever, right? It's never shot in chronological order. It's always set up by location, right? So it could be the beginning and the end. It's shot in this one location, and then each scene as it's different parts of the page. So what they try to do, it's for being cost effective. So it'd be really dumb for them to shoot the beginning on this one location on the first day and then come back, 30 days later, shoot the same scene again. Shoot a different scene, the same location. Why not just stay in that same location and shoot the beginning scene and the ending scene? So as an actor, your job is to piece that all together, take a string and pull all those scenes together, right? And know that, well, I'm in the probably second act, and I know my characters have to hit these certain beats, and I have to make sure I have to do that. So when they edit it, you have a nice flow of your character and character arc and things like that. So that's the part. That's the if you want to say that it's takes some ability and talent to be able to do is that part of stringing those together so it does seem seamless.
Right.
So, and I've been on TV shows or not episodic form, not ever on a sitcom. Sitcom is pretty shot from beginning to end in a straight line. But on movies, definitely, where you're shooting now, you shoot the beginning and maybe the end. But if the director's fair, and if he's, most directors know that you're not going to shoot a dramatic ending on your first day.
Right.
You're going to let the actor get into the character. So you might shoot some middle scenes and some other things and get the character working into the, have the actor get worked into the character. And then the director will make some adjustments so it informs him, later on as well. So.
Right.
Yeah. That's where the talent comes in, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I have any. If I had
No,
talent, that's what would happen.
You do. I noticed it. I was like, oh, there it is. So, you were in Morocco for both of the Hills Have Eyes movies, right?
Yes, sir.
How was that? How was the shoot? Did you enjoy it?
It was hot. We shot the first one in, I think it was July and August. So
Ooh.
I think it was July and August. So it was super hot. It was like over 100 every day. And sometimes about 120 sometimes. Very arid. We shot at a town called Ouarzazate, which is like when you fly in the northern part of Morocco, where it's Casablanca, it's very, quote, mystic, romantic. That's where the, Bogart and, the movie Casablanca was filmed, right? So, supposedly that's where it's based on, or they're actually exactly filmed. But then there's other places like Marrakesh and other, like, very fancy and very romantic, well-known towns. But Ouarzazate is at the southern part of Morocco. It's close to the Sahara Desert. And so it is a place that I think every rock in the world goes to vacation. There's so many rocks. There's no plants. It's the most desolate place. When I understand, they originally wanted to try to shoot it in the United States, somewhere like New Mexico, but they couldn't find enough place that was desolate enough. And there's planes kept flying over. Trust me, where we shot at Morocco, in Ouarzazate, out in the desert, there is no life, no nothing. Now the cool thing about on the set was kind of crazy is that they had this guy who was a lizard and snake wrangler.
Oh.
So there's a lot of snakes and lizards out there, right? They live in whatever. So it posed a bit of a threat to the cast and crew, especially snakes. So
Mm-hmm.
for the truck, and so I had to find a snake. And so he took off for a couple days and came back with a bunch of snakes. It's just crazy. He's just a rocking guy. Just lives out there in the desert. So
Wow.
crazy.
Boy, I'm surprised your makeup wasn't like melting off at that temperature.
Yeah, so, well, the people at KMB are the people that did the prosthetics. They're the best in the business. And Greg Nicotero and Howard Berger and those guys like that. But Greg was out there. He's Greg Nicotero's the N in KMB. And him and his crew came out there, and they told me I had a good face for prosthetics. I'm not a big sweater, so that's one of the things that sweating in the prosthetics, can destroy the glue and all those things like that, right? Loosen it up. So I'm not a big sweaty person. So I held up pretty well on once in a while that touch around the mouth or something like that. But yeah, like all the fight scene, everything. My left eye was closed. So close one eye and try to throw a punch
Yeah.
at somebody and try to be accurate. At least stay away from somebody. Your depth perception is gone. So it's really super hard to, especially. I can see if you've lost your eye and you had lost it for a while, you kind of get used to that, and your body can train itself to have. I think, not sure, but gets used to that.
Right.
Like not having the depth perception. But someone like me who's used to two eyes, all of a sudden now you got one eye closed. It's tough. So all those fight scenes were like with one eye. So it's
wow.
Crazy.
Were you just miserable, or did you?
No.
Were you too hot to enjoy anything, or were you all right? Or?
No. I've seen actors throw hissy fits. I've seen actors get fired off sets. I've seen actors do the craziest things while they're in prosthetics. It never bothers me. I actually like it. It does it because it kind of cocoons you, puts you in a cocoon.
Mm-hmm.
You live in your own world, and no one talks to you. No one wants to get around you. You look like a creep, But it was kind of cool. On the set, it was kind of cool that all the mutants hung out together. Even when we were out of prosthetics, we were back at the hotel. We all ate dinner together, and then all the people that were like the humans, the non-mutants, the family, they were all hanging out together. So once in a while, we'll mix it up a little bit. But it was kind of funny how we even off the set, we were like a family. So it's cool.
That's so cool. And so I watched Fantastic Four the other day because I am a huge, huge, huge Marvel fan, and I thought you did a really good job in that movie. And the consensus from I've read and I've seen people review it and stuff, and the consensus seems to be that you did a really great job in that movie.
Well, I thank you. First, let's make a couple things clear. Okay, so I played Ben Grimm, right? Human form. I had the hair, and I was kind of pretty back then. So I had that. And then there was a stunt guy who's in the suit. So his name is Carl Chvalio. And so he's a very well-known stunt man. He's been in some of the biggest and famous films you've ever imagined. He's been in as a stunt guy and as an actor too. He's a really good actor actually, and a good friend of mine as well. And so he was in the suit, but I did the voice for the thing, and then they tweaked it, morphed it. So when he was in the suit, I was there every time. I was on the set every day, whenever there was dialogue and things like that, and just make sure that, we worked together to make sure that what I was doing in human form matched what he was doing as a thing. So, and so I thank you for that. I appreciate that. That was one of my first films, and I thought, actors are always critical of their performances. At least I am, and I always think I suck. So no matter what I do. And so, but I thank you for that. I haven't heard that in a while, but there's a lot of things I could have done better, of course. But yeah, it was good. Thank you.
Yeah, I like that. You made him nice. He was a really nice guy in the movie, and the other people that have played him, they're kind of nice, but they're kind of ornery and mean, and they're still a cool character, and I like him in a lot of the ways he's been portrayed. But I like that your guy seemed like a really friendly, nice guy. I thought that was an interesting take on him.
Well, the thing is that I played him a lot like me. like how I am. You know, Ben Grimm was an athlete in college, right? So he went to Empire State. The leather jacket that's in the film is my leather jacket from Eastern Michigan.
Oh, cool.
So I played football at Eastern Michigan. I got a leather jacket and a big E on it, so it worked perfect. So I wore that in the film. And he was a football player too. I think he was. Ben Grimm was. And so I put myself in Ben Grimm's position. You know, he's a good-looking guy. You know, he's big. He's muscular. All these things. He's the big man on campus. Nice guy. You know, and all those things. But then this thing happens where he turns into this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how would you react? You know. And so there needs to be a bit of an arc there, right? So start out nice, and then even when you become the thing, you can become angry about it. That's a choice you can make, or you can become one as why is this happening? Why did everybody get to go back to being normal? Why am I still the thing? You know, why didn't I change back? That
Right.
makes no sense. That's not fair, and that's kind of how I played it a little bit like that. So, yeah, but thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. And also, I mean, you got the arc becoming the thing, trying to figure out how that's going to happen. Then you have the arc coming back on the other side of like, am I okay with this? Like, will I be okay? Like, all that stuff. So it's a pretty complicated character, really.
Well, yeah, even like there's a part when I'm in the quote jeweler's cave, and I get transformed back into Ben Grimm. There's that scene there, you know, I'm shirtless, whatever. I'm gonna go into Farmers, kick some ass, all of a sudden, shit, I'm not the thing anymore. And then I'm like just so frustrated, I run out in the alleyway, you know, and I'm just screaming, you know, and destroyed on why this is happening. So, I like those characters. And Ben Grimm was a lot like me. I remember on the set, Stan Lee showed up to the set.
Wow.
And, yeah, it was great to meet him. And he come up to me and he said, you know, Michael, I have to tell you, you are what I envisioned when I created Ben Grimm. I'm like, thank you, I appreciate that. So that was really, really cool. The day he showed up was the day when we were at the Baxter Building, and we were filming that bank scene where I run into Alicia Masters, knock her over, and you know, I pick her up, and that whole week, that's where that's where I start falling in love with her, things like that. So, but we were off the set, he was there, and it was nice. It was nice to meet him. And what he said was something was pretty special, for sure.
Yeah, I would lose my mind. Just even talk to Stanley and for him to say something like that to me, I'm like, I need to go to the hospital. I'm going to have a stroke or something.
There have been people that have said things to me that have been pretty, I mean, trust me, I've been blessed. You know, listen, I think I'm a decent actor. You know, I don't think, you know, there are people who have come up to me and said, man, I tell you, you're freaking really good. I'm like, really? Because I don't think I am at all. I just don't. I always think I suck. And so I've had, one time I was doing Charmed. And my first time I was doing Charmed, how I got Beltazor on Charmed. I was first doing co-star on Charmed I was guest starring on Charmed as the Grimlock. It was on the episode All Hollowell's Eve.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was pretty cool. I had a great scene. I knew this character just fit me, and I just was nailing every scene. It was really good. And he walked up to me, and he said, "Hey, Michael, come here for a second." He goes, "I have to tell you something." He goes, "The director came up to me during film and told me that you were one of the most talented actors he ever worked with in the last 5 to 6 years." And I'm like,
wow.
What? I said, me, this guy, Michael Smith. He goes, yeah, you. I'm like, he goes, why do you say that? I said, because I said, it's funny because I tell my mom that. Mom goes, oh, they say it to everybody.
Come on, Mom.
she always brings me back down to reality. But I've had that a few times happen, where I've done films, like I did a TV show called a movie called Town and Country. It had Goldie Hawn in it. It had Warren Beatty, Charlton Heston, Andy McDowell.
Wow.
It was a huge cast, like one of those casts, like back in the day when you had something like Poseidon Adventure, and had all these famous people,
Mm-hmm.
says, "You were really good. I want to get your name and number because I want to use you on something else." I'm like, okay, the guy never called. I never got a call from anybody, but the guy comes up to you, and I've had that happen more than a few times like that. Or I've done like maybe a co-star on something. Like I did a co-star on National Bridges, and I played this police officer, Officer Mike Wilson, traffic, and very hardcore. And I thought they were expecting me to ride a motorcycle. No one asked me if I could ride a motorcycle. I can't.
Wow.
So they want me to ride a big Harley police motorcycle in San Francisco up this hill. I'm like, I can't do that. They were freaking out and people were pissed, but I did such a great role in the scene. Guess what? They called me back. They added me to another episode a couple episodes later and hired a stunt guy to ride the motorcycle.
That's awesome. That's really good.
I mean, craziness happens. Yeah.
They did that to me. I was in this TV show called, what was it called? The Queen of the South, and I played this character that...
Okay, yeah.
I'm in the final episode, and I'm riding in this car, and I'm like rapping to this song, and they're like, all right, we need you to pull the car out, back it up, but you gotta do it really fast. And I was like, I don't drive. Like, I don't really have a driver's license. I was like, and I did it the first time, and I did it really careful, and they were like, gotta go faster. I was like, the car may not be in the same shape. They're like, we got insurance. And I was like, all right. I finally got it, but yeah.
One of the producers on Queen of the South is, I'll be working with on I had a screenplay just got optioned.
Wow.
And,
awesome.
It's going to go into production, yeah. So, and so he was one of the producers of Queen of the South.
Wow, good for you. How long have you been doing that stuff? How long have you been...
Writing?
Yeah.
I've been writing for quite some time, but I've never shown anybody my stuff. I've written like 10 or 12 screenplays, and I've never shown anybody this stuff. So the one that got optioned is called My Good Boy. And it's kind of semi-autobiographical. It's about a kid who grows up being picked on and beat up and uses football to gain his respect. And when it's all taken away, he gets thrown into the underworld of Detroit and gets caught up with loan sharks and things like that. And he tries to get out of it. So it's pretty cool.
Ooh. Yeah, that sounds intense. That's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. Yeah.
It's cool you're getting to do stuff like that. That's like another really good creative avenue that'll be fun to go down.
I love staying creative. I love writing. I love all that. So it's good. So I love creating characters. I love creating stories. I always say there's always two types of films, right? And you know this. And probably your audience knows this too. There's the one type of film you can go watch, like to me, like Transformers. I like the film. It was great. It was fun.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're done, you walk away. You don't think about it anymore. You just think, oh, it's a fun film, right?
Yeah.
And there's other types of films you can watch, and then you're still thinking about the next day or the next week.
Right.
Those are the kind of films I want to make. The ones that I want to write is the ones that mean something. It really hits you and pulls on your strings. And like, wow, this is really good. Or what it makes you think. I try to sometimes in my screenplays, I try to answer questions, hard ones, like, why do bad things happen to good people?
Good question.
Why is that? I don't understand why. Why? All those things. There's a lot of kind of things I try to answer, and I try to tell a story. So
yeah. Yeah, I definitely think that that's what I was trying to articulate earlier about The Hills Have Eyes, because I had probably seen, hundreds of horror movies up until that point, and I still always thought about that one, and when I watched it again, I knew exactly why I remembered it so well, because it was so shocking, and I thought it was put together so well. Like, I thought that they did a really good job on that film.
Yeah, Alex Aja is a phenomenal director, great guy. Just really good. He wrote it to him and his partner. I forgot his partner's name, but they did a great job writing the piece. How
did you end up getting involved with Freddy Krueger? How did that come about?
Yeah, so that's so after I got hurt in camp with the Dallas Cowboys, and then I went back and I felt went through a period of depression. Your whole life's dream was to play in Michigan and tried to start school again because I want to finish my degree. It was in computer science, and I just floundered around, got into trouble, and finally I did finish it, and I met some gal there, and she was an aerospace engineer. She graduated the same time I did, and she was wanting to go to California, San Diego. That's where she had a job there. I didn't have a job. I just graduated. So what the hell? Not as smart as she. And so I ended up going out there, San Diego, with her, and our relationship wasn't going along the greatest. By the time we got there, it was kind of waning. And so when I got to San Diego, our relationship lasted about a month. You know, she left me for some other guy, whatever. So I got into I was into bodybuilding pretty heavily, and was competing a couple times in some contests and stuff back in Michigan. And I befriended this guy named Steve Henneberry, who's a phenomenal guy. He was an American Gladiator guy. He was Tower American Gladiator.
Cool.
He's done some TV shows. Yeah, he's a talented guy. You know, good-looking dude, big dude, really big. I think he's my height, but he's just thicker. And we did some guest posing appearances, some contests. It was pretty, and some bodybuilding contests. Pretty funny. And we became good friends. And he was Conan up in Universal Studios. He has the live-action shows they do up there.
Mm-hmm.
And George go up there, so he played Conan. And he said, "Hey, Michael, I'm going up to Los Angeles to go read for this film called Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5. Why don't you come with me, and maybe you can audition, and, either way, and then if you don't, whatever. After that, we'll go to Gold's Gym and train, at Mecca Bodybuilding in Venice." I said, all right, so I was debugging software at Xerox, which I hated. I didn't like the 9-to-5 cubicle job. And so I took the day off from work and went up there. And the audition was really right there in Hollywood and Vine. You can't get any more Hollywood than that. It's on the Walk of Fame. There's the Brown Derby. There's the Hollywood sign we passed. All these things. We went into this office in third, fourth floor. And I was waiting in the foyer. He went and auditioned, and they asked me, "Do you want to audition too?" I said, "Okay." So I went in and auditioned. The director asked me if I could laugh like Freddy Krueger, and I said, "Yeah, I'll give it a try." And I laughed this big laugh, and he goes, "That's fucking awesome. Guess what? You got yourself a job."
Awesome.
That's kind of how it happened. So I ended up getting a role, and and a week later or two, I was on the set. I quit my job at Xerox, and the next thing you know, I was on the set with Robert England, and got my first couple lines, got my SAG card, and I got to meet him, and we sat in a trailer together, and talked about Freddy Krueger, and such a super nice guy. He could have been an asshole, or he could have been all these things, but he wasn't. He was just very gracious, and very genuine, and open, and I think that's what really drew me into wanting to become an actor. The people like that. Since my 30 years of doing this, I've ran into a lot of great people, and then I ran into a few people that were just pieces of crap, But that's how it is in real life too, right? So you work at your job, there's great people at your job, and then there's a couple of pieces of crap, right? You just avoid them. Sometimes when you're on a set, it's kind of tough because you got to work with the guy, right? So I can name off a few that were, the pieces of crap guys and gals, but mostly 90% everybody is really cool, and working on that was just great. And I don't know if you know this, but I played 2 characters on Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, no. What was the other one?
Didn't know this. So this is a funny story. So I'm sitting there, it was like the first week, and I'm sitting there, I'm staying there, I'm taking this all in. I love the whole filmmaking process. It was new to me. I soaked it all in. Instead of going to a trailer, I sat on the set and just watched people making movies. How they set up the lights, and crew, the gaffers, the lighting people, all this, like the director, all this thing. I just wanted to be around it, just understand what people are doing and how it works. I was like a kid in a candy store. I was standing there, and the director's there talking to the casting director. They're talking. They look over at me, talking, look over at me, and I'm like, and they walk up to me and go, "Hey, Michael, how you doing?" I go, "Good. Hey, we were thinking, what we think about doing a love scene." I'm like, "What? Love scene? Like as Super Freddy?" He goes, no. So he explained to me that they need to get body doubles for the lead girl and the guy, because Dream Child is the name of Nightmare on Elm Street 5, and Freddy comes through the baby's dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how that happens. So we need to get the girl pregnant, and we shoot a love scene at the beginning of the film. and we would like for you to be the body double for the lead. I'm like, sign me up. So,
Wow. I did not know that. That's crazy.
I'm half naked, well, mostly naked, 80%, 90% naked, laying on top of a girl and doing what I needed to do to get the shot right. You know, this is very technical. It wasn't very fun. So it was always, I mean, it's always fun, but you know, it wasn't as fun as I thought it was going to be.
That's crazy. So, I had no idea about that. With
it was cool.
There have not been very many people to play Freddy Krueger, like, at all. There's been you, Haley, I forgot his last name.
Yeah.
And Robert England, and I think that's all that I'm aware of. I don't think anybody.
There's one more. I think it was in 4 or 3. There's one person, I think, but I don't know. Yeah, there wasn't many. So
that's very cool.
There's only one Super Freddy.
Right. Yeah, that's so cool. You rounded out my top 4. So I got you, I got Leatherface, Jason, and wait, there's one more. I just blanked out. But anyway, my top 4, you're in my top 4. No, I need one more. I need Michael Myers, and then I'll have all my main people. So I was really excited to talk to you. Like,
oh, cool. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Do
good. Thank you.
What advice do you have to new actors that are just starting out? Like, what would you say to somebody like that?
Yeah, it's funny. I get this question quite a bit, and I was talking to getting some new headshots done on Friday, and so. And I was talking to her about, my 30-year career, didn't happen by just chance. It happened by a lot of hard work and hustling, busting my ass. Before there was the internet, before there was online submissions, you would put your submissions for auditions, whatever, for to get an audition, casting directors in an envelope, and someone had to deliver that. Guess what? Every morning I was at my agent's office, getting a whole buckets full of going around Hollywood, in North Hollywood, delivering envelopes to casting directors. That's what I did 5 days a week.
Wow.
Months and months on end. I got to know Hollywood and North Hollywood and Studio City and everywhere very, very well. You just had to hustle, and that's what I did. I've done some funky things when I first started. I had a manager who was gay, and he would get these gigs for me at this one gay bar where I would go and sit on a lifeguard tower in front of the gay bar in a tank top and shorts, bringing people in with my, I was pretty big and muscular, so I was pretty attractive, and it was you have to sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do to make money and get yourself. I played characters where I dressed up as a monster at a what do you call it, a premiere.
Oh, cool.
I've done that before. I've done, when you first start out, when I first started, I did a ton of dating game shows. In the 90s, there were tons of dating game shows. I've done like 3 or 4 or 5 different dating game shows. I won I think 2 out of the 5 I did. Nothing ever, of course, ever happened with them, but and it does. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get what you want to get. And for me, for someone who's going to start out, you've got to understand that one thing is that everybody is coming from all over the world to make it as an actor, period, right? Either you're a man or a woman, they're coming out to make it as an actor. And you got to understand that, but don't let that deter you. Don't let that intimidate you, because someone has to make it. Why not you?
Right.
That's what I always say to myself. Someone has to make it. Why not you? And you just got to know and believe that you have the ability to be a superstar. And right. You're not going around screaming down the middle of Hollywood screaming that, but you have deep down inside, you have to think that. And then when you have to figure out a way to get to Hollywood and survive it. It's tough. It's expensive. It's cutthroat. People don't give a flying shit about you, because guess what? At another month, there'll be a guy looking or a girl showing up looking just like you.
Right.
Same exact person. And so you have to feel and believe with everything you have that you're special. Period. You have something special to offer Hollywood.
Right.
And offer the movie business and the television and business. And so that's what, if you want to make it in Hollywood and film and television, that's where you go. If you want to make it in theater, go to New York. But that's, if you want to make it in film and television, you go to Hollywood. That's where the big boys play.
Right.
And so, and then when you get there, your first thing you do is find yourself a job. You need to find to support yourself, and one that's going to allow you flexibility, but yet pay you enough to where you're not sleeping on some person's couch or sleeping in your car. When I first moved to Hollywood, I slept in my car for a week or so. I had to. So that's what you have to do. And then from there, get yourself into an acting class, a good one, and start taking acting class, and then start networking. Talk to other actors. Talk to your acting coach. First, you got to prove yourself that you're good, right? And you're talented. And then once people recognize you're good and talented, guess what? They're going to start talking to you because they want to be around talented people. They're going to say, hey, do you have a manager? Or you can ask them, hey, do you have a manager or an agent? Maybe you can introduce me, whatever it is. Don't pick someone that has the same type as you. Like if I'm going to walk up to some guy who's 6'4", 250 pounds like me, don't walk up to the same type of guy, but walk up to somebody else, maybe a lady or a guy, and then find a way to get it connected. And then that's how you got to network your way. And that's what you do. And sometimes you got to do a lot of stuff, crazy stuff like the things I did at the beginning. Or go to UCLA and go to USC and sign up for their student films and be an actor in the student films. So you can get video. You get tape on yourself.
Right.
You get film. And that's what you do. And sometimes you're going to do some stuff for free. Sometimes you can do stuff for hardly any pay. And now all of a sudden you're going to get on a gig where, I got my SAG card. She's great. Next thing you know, shoot, I'm getting paid. Oh, well, now I get a rate. Oh, now I'm getting double my rate. Next thing you know, now I can make a living.
Right.
Now I'm freaking, that's what you do. And you work on trying to be creative and building your own projects and doing stuff like that. So there's no easy way to make this. Rarely does anybody just show up and, you're perfect. You're the next superstar. Bam, you're it. Rarely does that ever happen. Rarely. 0.0001%. Most people are like me, overnight success, over a 10-year overnight success, or 30-year overnight success, right? I'm just a working actor. That's what I am. I'm not a movie star. I don't get paid millions of dollars. I get paid well, but I don't get paid millions of dollars, but I make a living at it, right? And that's what you do. And you beg, borrow, till you find a way to make it happen. And just know that there's gonna be a lot of no's.
Yeah.
And you just got to know, walk into audition. You know this, you're an actor, walking into audition. All you can control is what you do in that room in front of the casting director or the producers or the directors. You just do your best. And then once you walk out, I know it's hard to do, and it took me years to get over this. You got to forget about it and walk away and say, I planted a seed.
Whew.
Because what happens when you plant the seed, guess what happens? This is what happened to me. So, I read for a Burger King commercial. It was like years ago. Read for a Burger King commercial. And I read for the commercial. I did a pretty good job. And I read for the director and whatever. I didn't hear it. So then about 4 years later, I get a call for an audition. So I go in for this pilot for Amazon. It was called Cock. It was about 2 gun manufacturers who were competing for this, to get this special type of rifle, whatever, this fantastic rifle, whatever, sophisticated rifle. And I get called for this audition, and I read, and I do well. I get call back, do it again, call back, three callbacks. I finally get the role. I get on the set, and one of the PAs comes up to me, hey Michael, the director wants to see you. So we were shooting downtown Los Angeles, so they took me up to the 60th floor or 50th floor of some big building. And the director gets done on the scene, walks over to me and says, hey Michael, welcome to the set. He goes, I want to ask you a question. Do you know why I hired you? And I'm like, well, I hope it's because you thought I did a pretty good job. And he goes, you did, and you did a great job actually, but you auditioned for me for a Burger King commercial 4 years ago. I wanted to hire you, but the producer said they couldn't, but I remembered you, and I wanted to hire you. And that's happened to me several times. So anytime you audition, anytime you do work, you're planting a seed. You're doing, and be gracious on the set. When you get on the set, you're the nicest person
Gotta be specific in what you want.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah. When I first started acting in my crappy apartment in Hollywood, I had on my bathroom mirror Michael Bailey Smith, Hollywood's new leading man. It was on my mirror. And
wow.
I remember when I got this roommate, he laughed at me. Like, dude, this is my positive, affirmation that I read every morning. I didn't become Hollywood's leading man, but I became a working actor. And I got pretty good at it, being a living at it. So.
Yeah. I think you've done a really good job. That's why I'm talking to you right now, because you're doing a really great job. I'm very excited that we got to talk. Is there anything you got going on that you want to tell the viewers about, or like a website or anything, or something you're working on, something like that?
Yeah, so I am, I just finished, I had my screenplay option, which is My Good Boy. The goal is to have this production by next year. So it's going to move fast. We're very excited about it. So that's going to happen. So look for that in about 2 years coming out. I will continue to write, and I have another. I have one I'm working on now. It's called Dark Sun, which is really cool. It's a sci-fi, like a mixture of aliens and Indiana Jones put together.
Cool.
So it's pretty cool. Yeah. So
that sounds awesome. Well, thank you, sir. I really appreciate you doing this. I've really enjoyed speaking with you.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me, and thanks for reaching out to me. I appreciate it. And I love your shirt, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon. I'll let you know when we have this all done and everything.
Good. Sounds good, sir. Thank you. Have a good one.
See you, buddy. You too. Bye-bye. Okay.
Did he say he went to a gay bar?